Hi, I'm Fram, the brother from California.
Hello, I'm Greg from New York.
Jeff, the brother brought in to boost the ratings.
Boy, that hasn't worked very well, Greg, huh?
I don't
No,
know. I haven't seen the analytics in a while. I think you're hiding out on me, Fram.
but we have a true boost, I think, this time. So, Fram, introduce our very special guest.
Yeah, no, it's quite an honor. We talk about a lot of different tech topics here on this podcast. Today, we're still going to be talking about technology, but from a slightly different angle, the people angle, and how important people and workforce is for technology to continue to grow. So without further ado, I'd like to shoot it over for Chris Thiel from Insight Tech Search to maybe give us a little intro and get us rolling. Hi, Chris.
Hi, Fram. Hi, Greg. Hi, Jeff. Thank you so much, guys, for inviting me. It's a pleasure to be speaking with you guys. It's always a pleasure. It's always good fun. But I'm also really looking forward to today's discussion. I think it's a topic which is really close to my heart, like I said, personally, but also from a professional standpoint. So yeah, really looking forward to getting stuck in.
So, Chris, I just got to get one question sort of out of the way.
Sure.
Which of the three of us do you actually like the best?
Well, it's because I'm the skier. See, I know Chris the longest, and
No,
I know he's a big snow guy, a boarder, but that's
Yeah,
okay. We'll
that's it.
forgive
yeah.
him. Right? So I don't know,
There's not
guys.
supposed to be any kind of campaigning. It was just a question and answer. So,
You know, I'm Swiss. I'm going to play my neutral card and say I love all of you equally.
Smart move, smart move.
wow.
Pretty good,
I
right?
told
I
you
like
he'd
it.
be a
Diplomatic.
great guest.
Yes.
Yeah, yeah. He wouldn't last long in Lebanon, but in Switzerland that would.
Yeah, we've got to say he's Swiss.
Okay.
Yeah,
So
different
Chris,
strokes.
tell us a
Yeah,
little bit about your business.
sure. Yeah, so I'm Chris Thiel. I'm CEO and co-founder of Inside Technology Search. We're an international executive search firm helping tech companies. And when I say tech companies, I mean predominantly semiconductor, electronics, and photonics companies. We help them to recruit people, leaders. We build engineering, commercial, and leadership teams. And we do that really globally. I've had the pleasure of working with Geoff on some assignments in the past. We work with a number of smaller companies that are trying to build up the team from, say, a deep tech funded portfolio company all the way up to bigger firms like Infineon and Bosch, where we help them with talent acquisition and recruitment.
Well, that's wonderful. So let's kind of start out maybe from the angle of you said you're global.
Yeah,
What markets would you say are hot right now globally?
I think the obvious one is AI.
Hmm.
But I think everyone's pinning the hat on AI right now. But frankly speaking, I think before talking about what's hot, I think
Yeah.
we have to acknowledge the fact that we're in a bit of a difficult market situation right now. If I talk specifically of semiconductors and electronics, COVID were the boom times. Everything was great. Companies were getting huge orders in. We were getting a ton of mandates. We're really feeling the after effects of that right now. There's a lot less hiring. Companies are much more cautious when it comes to talent acquisition, when it comes to even replacing people who are leaving. So we're definitely in a phase of cautious optimism, I'd say. But with a lot of companies making layoffs, with several companies being very, very cautious. So I'd say that's one thing to bear in mind. We hope that this should change towards the end of this year and then maybe beginning of 26. But I'd say the sectors that many of our clients are really being carried by, if I'm honest, because many of our clients are struggling, but many of them are being carried by AI, especially any products they have which are going into, say, data centers, networking, optical communication. Those for me right now are probably the hottest sectors. After that, I'm seeing a lot of positive growth in things like power electronics. So anything where you're helping to reduce power consumption, but at the same time increase communication speed or increase power density. So power electronics, I think AI are doing well. Markets like consumer are struggling. Industrial is struggling a bit. too. Another segment that's doing a little bit better than, say, pure deep tech is photonics. We're doing more and more work with photonics companies worldwide, which has a lot of applications in space, in aerospace and defense, but also, again, in data center and AI communications.
Hey, Chris, a lot of those segments and sectors are relatively new. They're not like the huge names, like the
Yeah.
fab and semiconductor. Is there a sufficient pool of those kind of talents, or, what are some of the challenges?
Yeah, I mean that's a good point. I think this kind of leads us on to some of the topics we wanted to talk about, which was executive hiring trends, right? And the short answer is no. There's nowhere near enough talent for these industries. If we look at what's happening in the US, right, there's quite a bit of investment in Arizona with TSMC building a big fab, getting huge investments to do so from the government with the CHIPS Act. But all of these fab builds have been delayed. Pretty much every single one of them has been delayed, partly due to either market conditions or not finding the right people. Key example is TSMC. They couldn't find the people. They had to fly over about between 500 to 1,000 people from Taiwan to come and set up the fabs. I mean, they tend to do that anyway on a lot of their fab builds, but that's just an example of huge shortages in talented workforce for chip fabs.
How about hot geographies? And are you seeing geopolitics sort of playing into this hiring?
Mm, yeah, I am to an extent. I think I'm seeing a lot of Western companies adopting a bit of an ABC strategy, which is the anything but China viewpoint, which is controversial, but it's happening. They're relocating production. Consequently, a lot of executive roles are also moving to countries like Vietnam, India, Malaysia, Mexico. And this is exactly driven by those geopolitical tensions that you're talking about, but also on the other hand, to, I guess, diversify supply chains. So that's one big thing that I'm seeing on the geopolitical side. The other thing, which I think your listeners might be interested in, is I'm actually seeing a bit of an expansion of the C-suite. So a lot of companies right now are kind of adding new roles to their board or to their C-suite. I'm seeing things like Chief Experience Officer, Chief AI Ethics Officer coming in, which clearly is to address, I guess, the complexity of business operations. But they need the specialized expertise to really be able to address how are we going to help, how are we going to improve decision making with AI, how are we going to improve problem solving with AI. And a lot of our clients are now looking for people who or leaders who have experience in driving decision making or driving problem solving with the use of AI, with the use of data analytics. So that is a real key trend, which is now becoming almost a necessity for any leader to be considered for an executive role.
I think that's an interesting point. That was certainly something I was going to ask, which was what do you see in terms of the executive CV or profile as it relates to AI? One of the things that I read an article a couple of days ago about the waning interest in sort of pure MBA skill, and now an increased focus, as you said, on analytical capabilities of the executive, and taking AI out of the sort of IT domain.
Yeah.
One of the things that I think Fram is very versed in this as well is, oftentimes AI or digital transformation perhaps has always been managed through sort of a CIO kind of a role, and now it becomes integral to the enterprise. And so having decision makers and, as you say, expanding the C-suite to accommodate now a more analytical approach to managing the business. So you're seeing that trend, right? That
Oh yeah.
Executive searches focus a lot on the profile of candidates as it relates to these use of technology.
Chris,
It does. It just, yeah.
I guess, are you seeing execs pivoting? Like, you said there's a lot of these new kind of C-suite roles, and that to me kind of sounds like there's some new roles coming in. We might be either phasing out or there's going to be too many of the other type existing legacy C roles. And you see execs saying, okay, I'm going to try to make the pivot, say, from, like Greg was mentioning, a CIO role to something that's, chief AI person or something like that.
Yeah, we are. We definitely are. I think it depends on the type of company. I think with more IT based companies, which are maybe more software focused, the CIO role is still totally critical, and is definitely maintaining. But when we're looking at hardware based companies, I'm seeing that shift a little bit more to the AI side and how it relates to it. So I think that's definitely something I'm seeing. If I had to summarize it, I think this AI, this need for competence in AI is one of them. The other one is data analytics, right? How can we extract what we need from the data and make meaningful decisions from them? And then the other one is actually cybersecurity. This is also another one which is becoming more and more critical. And I guess it's the mixing of these three skills, which is becoming like a bit of a holy grail in some ways, for many of these companies.
As I was going on, go ahead, Fram.
Cybersecurity. I mean, we've talked a lot in our podcasts about the capabilities of technology, but more and more, everyone is concerned about those capabilities falling into the hands of bad actors. And so how do you protect an enterprise? How do you protect privacy within society? And so I think that's going to become an ever increasing in criteria or importance, right, as we go forward.
Yeah, huge, absolutely huge.
So before looking to the future a little bit, Chris, I know you're a parent. Any advice for any of the listeners who have children, let's say, coming up on career choices or college choices or, preparation? I mean, I just look at the three of us. No one would have thought our careers would have taken this path from our beginnings. Maybe Fram did because he was a double E, of course. But I think that might be useful.
Don't keep beating yourselves up that you're chemical engineers, right? Don't
huge
Has
regrets.
to be. Somebody has to be.
Yeah.
That's right.
Somebody has to.
So, Chris, what do you think? What would you tell parents?
Well, my daughter is 9 years old, so I haven't, I have a slightly younger child. But what I would say is, have a really good look at the world around you and try and project yourself in the next 5, 10, 15 years and try and think logically of what are the things, what are the tasks, what are the jobs which could potentially be replaced by AI, right? Now, I don't know enough of these specific segments to really say don't go into them or don't do them. But when you look at what AI is already capable of when it comes to graphic design, presentation creation. So I'm thinking of a few kind of marketing type roles here where I'm thinking, wow, okay, AI is already so powerful, even with basic software. Is that something which is going to need a human touch? I think the relationship with people is going to be the biggest thing you should focus on. Being able to build relationships, being able to show an interest in people, to be curious, to genuinely want to get to know someone, because those jobs are never going to die. Account management, business development, the roles where you really, really need to have that face-to-face connection, I think are absolutely critical roles. So that's what I'd say about that. I would say, if you're looking at getting into the world of work, let's say you're about to go to college, you want to get into a university, or you want to get your first job, right? Try and think of what you can bring to the table in terms of value. And usually if we're talking about corporations, that is, how can you either make the money, or how can you save the money, or how can you add touches of creativity to what you're doing? So those are two big things. Is don't think about necessarily just the responsibilities, but think about the impact that you can have. Think about the value you can bring, because that's what people want to hear. That's what people want to see if they make a hiring decision.
Great.
That sounds great. We've covered a lot today. Chris, thank you for being our special guest here.
Guys, thank you so much. Really appreciate it.
Yeah, it was our pleasure. And thank you for listening to Brothers Talking Tech. Please let us know what you think of today's session and what topics you would like us to cover in the future. Goodbye, stay safe, and stay well.